Dealing with questions tends to be the bit people worry about most because it feels like you can't plan for it. Remember that most of the time, people are not trying to make you look bad. They're interested in your work and want to know more about it. When responding to questions, listen to all parts of the question carefully before deciding on your response. They can change direction at the last minute. If you haven't understood, clarify by paraphrasing the question back to them. Communicate and involve the audience to avoid a series of one on one discussions. To involve the rest of the audience and avoid potentially extended dialogue with the questioner, make sure the whole audience has heard and understood the question by outlining the area of inquiry. For example, I've been asked to outline my thinking behind. When you reply to a question, direct your answer to both the questioner and other members of the audience. Try to keep your responses as focused as possible. To avoid going into too much detail, stop and check back with the questioner to see if you have answered their query. You could encourage your audience to ask follow-up questions after the event has finished through email discussion or telephone comments. This shows you respect your audience's ideas and implies that the topic has much further scope for inquiry. Difficult questions come up sometimes, and that's okay. Having an action plan and a few phrases up your sleeve can help you feel more prepared. It's okay to pause and think before answering a question. You could say, "Can I have a minute to think?" Don't worry about admitting you don't know something or hadn't considered it, but do so positively with, "That's an interesting idea, I'd not thought of that," or "I'm not sure, I'll have to look that up later, thank you." If it's complicated, deal with it later, responding with, "That's interesting, shall we have a quick chat about it after the talk?" If they are persistent, it's okay to say, "I'm afraid I need to move on." Finally, utilise the session chair. They manage the question time and can repeat or rephrase questions for you. A few things to avoid when answering questions. Answering the question you wish you'd been asked instead of the question you were asked. Making a second mini presentation. Passing the blame. Defensive answers. Now, check out the short podcast below with some advice on dealing with questions from postgraduate researchers at the University of Exeter.